What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2022 Best. No, let me get that right. We're in 2023. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Well, let's get right to it. Regular, we are back. Dr. Vibe's allies are back in the house. So if you don't know what it is, I'm going to tell you. It's one of the rarest and best conversations in the world because Black men from 3 different countries and 2 continents chop it up, talk about things that are important to Black men and those who love them. So, you know what? I'm just going to bring them all on at once. Mike Ramey, Clive Henri, VU, Henri, and Jonathan Shaw, all in the house.
The Juice Man.
The Juice Man is here.
Good evening.
All right. Everybody's here. So the Mike Ramey from Indianapolis, Indiana, Clive Henri from the future in Nottingham in England, Jonathan Juiceman Shaw. I don't know what team jersey he's wearing his Steelers jersey like he always does when he's on here. Yeah, because it's draft night. So I don't know if you're watching draft night, Juice Man.
Of course, man. Of course.
What do you think about Houston? CJ Stroud and
2-3? Yeah, that was good.
Henri Morris from the left coast and Victor Unlimited from Memphis. What up, gentlemen? What's going on?
We're good.
It's a beautiful
Good to
day.
see you guys.
Good.
I want to know about Henri and his undercover plan to move Oakland to Vegas. I know he had something to do with it.
The Oakland A's to Vegas?
Oakland A's to Vegas,
Oh, my gosh.
I talked about that a couple of days ago. I said, Henri has got to be involved somehow.
Well, it's interesting. We've got some live viewers right now. One of the gentlemen named Christopher Lawrence, who runs a business company in the greater Toronto area. And what you're asking right now is something that the allies have asked me many years ago. He says, if it gets here, greetings, Dr. Vibe. When do you sleep?
He don't. He don't. Christopher, he doesn't.
That's right. That's old question with these cats. They asked me that from day one many years ago. So, you need to join this group, Mr. Lawrence, and bring yourself on here. But I just put it out to you. So, gentlemen, I sent an email out to you. You said you'd be here. I didn't get a conversation topic back. So, what do you want to chop up about tonight? What's going on?
So much.
Well, there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Man, like it's not what's going on, is what do we want to talk about that's going on that we can talk about.
Like you just pull something out the air, Doc, throw it on the table. We can go for 10-15 minutes per
Okay.
topic.
Okay, here's an interesting one from a Black man's perspective. I don't know how many people watch this story. Is it this guy? Is it Jonathan Morgan? He was a co-star of the Creed movie?
Major.
Jonathan Major, yes. And how many people know what's happened to him in the last 30 days? His career has just gone.
He is being lambasted. Oh. Once you start being on the big screen and them blockbusters too many times, and you get so much cred, before you know it, it's always the same narrative. Muscular Black man / petite white woman. She calls the cops. He said there was nothing going on. Then all of a sudden, here come all these other people coming out of the woodworks talking about he did the same thing to me. It is amazing to me how when we start to just make some really good headway in certain arenas, whether it be music, whether it be the film industry, whether it be politics or business, they find something to come out the corner, or just one little incident, so they find everything else. Now, I'm not condoning him putting his hand on a woman at all. He should not do that at all. But it's interesting to me is that he's coming off 2 major blockbusters simultaneously, right?
And there was another one to filmed in the near future. It's a $5 million, billion-dollar big one, and he was supposed to be the centerpiece.
Right. And he's also supposed to be doing a biopic. I can't remember who the person he was doing a biopic on, but they just actually removed him from that.
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. That's been interesting because Otis wasn't that muscular. But okay. But I digress. But I don't know. Is it me? But every time we started getting those roles that can catapult us to another stratosphere, that maybe bring more of us into it, there's always something that pops up. Thoughts, soldiers, thoughts.
Brother Morris, I will see that story and raise you one.
Oh, okay.
Brother Majors has just become the Don Lemon.
Oh,
I don't even like Don.
Just why are you shaking your head?
I don't like the fact the brother worked for CNN for 17 years, and just because he raised his voice to a white woman, he's out. He's out. It's not because of his politics. It's not because of his credibility as a journalist. It's not because he's a sodomite. It's because he got into it with a white woman. And for the progressives who claim that diversity is okay, why is it that black men are now being high-tech lynched at every turn? That's the question. That's the question for tonight. Why is it that I'm going along with Brother Henri and brother Juice Man? Why is it that black men that are making progress in the quote unquote non-offensive areas are being high-tech social media lynched by the same folk that claim that we're special?
One thing before we go forward is the white woman of white women passed away today from cancer. This is the first person ever who's died of cancer that I did not shed a tear for.
The Emmett Till story.
Correct.
Right. I heard about that.
Correct. So think about all the black men who have been arrested, hung. What about the black men whose names we don't even know, who have died just for gazing at a white woman?
Attempting or accused of gazing.
You know what I mean? And we could talk ad nauseum of, black men who have done things with white women and gotten arrested for it. But what about people who have never done anything, whose names we don't know?
Yep.
That alone, we could talk for about 10 years about. You know what I mean? Because this isn't something that happened last week. This isn't something that happened last month. These are things that happened back in the 1960s, the 50s, and all the other sort of stuff. There's been things that have happened on all the different continents of the world where it's come to the aspect of race and black men, and why they still do not understand that it's not going to end well. I do not know. I do not know. That little part of it is like, you already know what the play is. It's like you're watching football. You already know what they're going to do, and you're going to do this same play over and over and over and over again. And I keep asking my people the the same question as a black man, right? Knowing what we know already, right? Black men who say that they are for the perpetuation of the black family. Why? Why are you going there? Why are you snowflaking? Why are you doing that? Right? You know how they stay. You know what I mean? You know already. You've seen the movies. You've seen, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what it is. And I mean, we're not 5 years old no more, and we don't have our hand by the stove, and our mom has to slap our hand away so we don't get burnt. We've seen it. You can go on Google and you can see. You can go on any form of social media at any sort of time, right? They call them Karens. Why do you continue to deal with them? That's my question.
Because most of us still don't understand and know our history. Number one. Number two, some of us, this new younger generation, they weren't taught our history. Or three, they feel that our history is not applicable to them because that was then. This is now. But as the saying goes, everything old is new again.
Do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start talking about, and understand, I'm not, and for anybody that's listening to us talk, if you love somebody that does not look like you, I am not knocking that. I'm not disparaging that at all, right? I
Right.
have to be proud to have a Caucasian niece. My nephew married her. He loves her. Like I told her, listen, you got to, if you gonna love him, you got to hold him down, but know his history, not only his family history, but know his history. Because guess what? When y'all walk out the door, y'all gonna be viewed as one. And if you want to use your complexion when it comes down to some stuff, some hard facts that people are going to bring to you, I need you to back away from my nephew because I only got one resolution to it, one, right? So then the general had to devise a plan to bust me out the joint, and we gonna figure it out from there, right? But the fact of the matter is that no matter how much we tend to grow as individuals, right, or as a culture, there's still that subculture that wants to go back to what used to be. I was listening to something earlier today online about, and DLU, he said it, they don't want to teach about slavery in schools, but they want to teach you about the daughters of the Confederate. Now, wait a minute. Hold, time out. You're going to sit here and try to sell this propaganda about how we supposed to love to be slaves and love to be servants, and you know these are the things that happen. But you don't want to tell about the atrocities of men, women, and children of color from the African diaspora being stripped from their land, stripped from their history, stripped from their language, and brung over here. You don't want to teach that in school, because once you start teaching the truth, you can never unknow the truth. And right now, we are starting to unearth some truths that are making a lot of the non-melanated population very, very uncomfortable. But because they have the power of the media, power of the press, and power of pictures, they can still control the narrative. And until we can start controlling our narrative, we still going to have situations, unfortunately, like Jonathan Majors. Hey, and if we want to take it another step further, the academy and all its henchmen are now blackballing Will Smith, right? Now he was wrong for walking up there and putting his hand on that on Chris Rock. He was wrong as 2 left feet. But you want to take him out the voting process, out of the decision-making process, out of all these powerful positions for the next decade, because he took offense to what another man was saying about his wife. Now, I don't agree that he should have walked up there and slapped him. And if he did, I think Chris should have hit him with the podium. But again, that's just me. At the end of the day, that's still another form of castration. Because now you're going to start looking at who can dance better for us, and maybe we can give them an opportunity to be in that position. That's just my thought. We gotta keep on having control of our narrative, control of our emotions, but more importantly, knowledge of our history. We do those three things, we are now unstoppable.
Well, that's why I like the Dr. Vibe get together when we get together as the allies, because we control the narrative, or as I used to say on the Outer Limits, we control the horizontal, we control the vertical, we can do whatever we want because this is a blackout.
General, I don't think many folks know about the outer limits. You gotta be at a certain level or a certain age group to remember the outer limits.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I would rather use the Outer Limits than the Twilight Zone, because that's that's really where all this stuff is coming from and heading to, is the Twilight Zone. Because you sit there and just look at stuff like we were talking in the green room with the future Clive Henri about the new prime minister,
right,
in London. He's a brother of color. First one they've ever had, I believe. Is that right, Clive?
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah. And we've heard nothing about him. The narrative is that they've been telling for years is we can't succeed. But when we do succeed, it's not recognized. There's a blackout in London, in the UK, because we've got a man of color as prime minister and an Indian man of color as prime minister.
Can I say something? You know why as well they don't want to promote this? Basically, he was a banker, so his family is like a billionaire status.
Mm-hmm.
English billionaire status. So, you know, he don't need the job. He don't need the job. But yeah, they're not going to promote him because, you know, this is, you know, from the outside looking in, I mean, Americans, they know a little bit about the history of the UK, but they don't know the inner history. UK, like Rome, was an empire, is an empire. All the countries. That's why there's 60 million people here. There's 300 million people in the United States. The UK had an empire controlling like a third of the world. You know, they have got their fingers in so many pies and was the most violent. When slavery happened, they controlled the seas. They had guns. We don't have guns in the UK. You can walk around here. The only people that have guns are the police. Mm-hmm. They are very good at psychological warfare. They're very smart. You know, the UK people, they're the most violent if you look at history. But see, in slavery, this is where everything came from as well. Remember, the slave masters they were English. That's how they got their lords and their kings and all these posh people, because they brought the money from slavery. Slavery built everything in America and the UK. But, you know, you look at the English pound and you look at the American dollar and you look at the difference in how many people and what we are doing here. We don't really do that much business. It's all international. You know, so that's what what we really need to do. Like we say, media, we need to control the narrative. We need to make sure people know their history. You know, this is the biggest push, because once you know where your foundation lies, there's no stopping you. But a lot of people just think, yeah, that was yesterday, and today we're integrated and everything's cool. But you know, before, you know, I know a lot about American history, because before they had the NFL and so forth, they had the black leagues. Yes. They had black everything. Yes. You know, black people didn't, you know, it's like, it's just crazy. If they didn't integrate, what would have happened? You know, they would have had their heads in gear, you know, and it's just mental. There's a lot of psychological warfare going on.
I want to jump on something you just shared and ask the allies this question. We haven't talked about it for a long time, and I know we talked in the past. Has integration been a good thing for melanated people?
No.
I don't think so.
I'll say that right off the bat. No, the reason being is that the truth of integration has not been told. I just talk about our history. I just discovered, based on a documentary that they released on Justice Clarence Thomas within the last couple of years, that when they had busing in Boston, the schools that they moved the black kids from and sent to, the black kids were moved from so-called inferior black schools and were sent to, get this, inferior white schools. And then they took the white students and brought them to the black schools. So there wasn't really any progress. It's just you just shuffled the pieces on the board. So, and I just discovered that, heard about that recently. It's like, wait a minute, like VU likes to say, the illusion of inclusion is supposed to be because we need to hit the HEP. We need to hit. But if you're taking me from one part of the Titanic and putting me on the other part of the Titanic, aren't you just rearranging the deck chairs instead of questioning what's happening on the ship? Really, our history is cyclical, but history is ongoing. The 20-somethings that are out there now that are listening, they have no idea what existed before they were born, just like us. The difference is that we made the determination, each one of us, to learn about our history and to keep on learning about our history. And every time I talk to you brothers, I find out things that I don't even know. Didn't even know things like that existed, for example. And this is a piece of history. If it wasn't for the Harlem Globetrotters, you would not have the NBA. Because the Harlem Globetrotters, the NBA begged the Harlem Globetrotters to appear on double twin bills with the fledgling NBA just to pack people into the stadium to watch the NBA. And once the NBA figured they could make it on their own, well, we don't need the Trotters anymore. We create something and we don't stick with it. We've got money out there in Hollywood. There's enough money in Hollywood that we could buy the Steelers and make Juice Man the general manager. There's enough black money out there, but we choose not to spend it.
Well,
and if they make Juice Man the general manager, I want somebody to buy me the Browns. And I want to be general manager, and I want to meet Juice Man in the middle of the field and just say, "What's up, Juice? We ready to go again?"
But and it's an interesting point because I look at it.
But the thing is, though, if you want to pick up the Cleveland Browns, you can get those at Dollar Tree, but it's okay. I mean, like, you can just get
Okay, Doc.
I knew that was coming.
You need to go ahead and grab this before we start having a whole free for all. Your question, sir.
No, but I want to stick on this integration thing because I don't think not all the brothers, only a few of the brothers responded. Like, what are your thoughts on the state of integration? April 27th, 2023.
First of all, you can't integrate anything that's not equal. You cannot integrate anything that's not equal. So therefore, when you're going to try to include us, when you just stripped us from everything and then say to us, "Hey, see, we care about you. We want you can do just what we do." No, we can't. No, we can't. This is 2023, and we're still talking about equality in 2023, right? We just lost one of the greatest civil rights activists, actors,
Harry Belafonte.
Yes.
Right? He fought their fight to the very end. And if I could sit on the right hand side of the guy right now, and ask Mr. Belafonte one question, and that question would be, how much farther do we have to go? Because no matter what, again, we talking about Jonathan Majors earlier, right? But we talking about inclusion. Now, if we want to get really deep about it, you rather integrate and include the
negative elements instead of the total element.
Right. You want to pick and choose what you want to include, right? And we never been on the top of the pecking order. We know since we did all these terrible things to them 400 years ago, we need to include them too. But then it still come at a price, because the only reason why we don't control our narrative, we don't control our financial dollar, because hundreds of years ago we bought into the ideology that we were going to be included, right? If we fight these wars, we're going to come back and you're going to love us. Didn't happen. We built our own. We were prospering and striving. Y'all could create false narratives and destroyed it to the point where you don't trust that brother that lives right across from you. You don't trust that sister who sits across from you. You gotta one up her instead of saying, "Hey, listen, if we align ourselves and then find somebody else that's like us in line with us, and we keep on building this chain, now all of a sudden you become unpenetrable." So how can inclusion ever work when we was never equal? We are inclusionary because we're all equal. We're black men, we're thinkers, we're game changers in our communities. So we're equal. So we can sit here on this forum equal. No egos, no puffing up the chest. It's equal. I can take pieces from each one of you and bring it back to my tribe and my community and say, okay, this is what we want. This is how I think we should approach this. And they're like, wow, never thought about it like that. Well, guess what? I didn't think about it neither, but because I was with brothers who was equal yoke and equal yoke, I now have that ideology. So that's no, Doc. We was never equal. So how can we be included?
And that's the fallacy of CRT. CRT teaches that black folk are special, not equal. See, it used to be the majority culture would down us, and that didn't work for too long. So now they've elevated us without the respect that has to be earned to go along with it. It's just like overnight. Okay, now we're special. And those of us who are over a certain age laugh at CRT because the young brothers and sisters out there actually believe this stuff. You know, it's like that scene in Blazing Saddles when Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder are standing there after they've made a fake rock ridge and they're watching the outlaws ride into town, and Little says, "Look, they're buying it." And that's exactly what is going on today. Those who are of a certain age that remember our history and what we went through ain't falling for this CRT, because if you look at the protests at the school board meetings, most of them are us telling folk on the school boards they're lying, and they're lying through their teeth, because until respect cannot be given, it has to be earned. And just because you say somebody is respected, that doesn't mean they're necessarily respected. I've learned a lot from VU about the realities of media, and I've been in the media, and listening to him teach on some things is just mind-boggling. Like Henri said, we learn from each other. We don't think we do, but we do. You know, Clive and all of y'all. I'm indebted to y'all because because every time I come on one of these shows, I walk away learning something. And even if I don't say that much, Neil, this month I'm talkative. I have no idea why. Last month maybe I didn't have my Cheerios. I figured this month I'm going. This month maybe it's because it's draft night. Maybe that's it. My hope is that the Browns will pull somebody that will put the Steelers in the dollar store next year. But VU is one. All y'all my heroes. All of y'all my heroes. Y'all are you all are the Black Mount Rushmore that you can see from. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. You remember the brothers in the Revolutionary War pose that are walking down the street. One's got the flag, one's got the drum, one's got the fife, and one's limping. That's us. It's the 6 3.
I want to take it a little bit deeper in regards to the integration. Now, looking back historically, was the civil rights movement in America a success?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, he's right. It wasn't. No. You know primarily why? Because our leaders were assassinated. You can't have a movement move if the head is dead. I mean, they got King.
Juice Man, what are your thoughts historically? If you look at the civil rights movement now, was it a success?
Absolutely not. We don't aspire to own anything anymore. If you think about all the things we used to do, in a Black family, regardless of how poor you were, you had a piano, you had instruments, you had something that we played. We don't play instruments anymore. We want to just aspire to have a drum machine. We don't support our own anymore. Like, there was times when
Why is that happened, in your opinion? And anyone else can chime. Why don't many of us support each other anymore?
Why? One of the reasons why is because we've taken a more Eurocentric viewpoint on the world. If we have people within our community who, we have dressmakers, we have tailors, we have people who've made clothes for years. I mean, in New York City, if you didn't have something by Dapper Dan, you weren't about hip hop, and everybody wanted to have something that was different because they wanted to look fresh. Now it's not about looking fresh; it's about looking like everybody else. Everybody wants to be a cookie cutter of somebody else, and those companies, because again, if you're Black people famous, you're on this level, but if you're mainstream famous, you're on this level. If you're wearing a Black designer, people believe it's on this level. If you're wearing something by Louis Vuitton, it's apparently on this level, when that should not be. We have always been our own ecosystem. We've always been able to spread dollars within our own community and have it stay there when there was a Black Wall Street in the United States of America. In Canada, what's really funny is today is the anniversary of what I call the March on Ottawa with Uncle Donald Moore, who went in 1954 to speak at that time about immigration, about getting us more civil rights, about getting us jobs where we could actually be civil servants. And all these things were done for the betterment of Black people. But everybody else got to profit from the hard work that we did. And we never continued to aspire to help or push up one another. We're trying to do it again now. But in 2023, how many Black-owned bookstores are there?
or black-owned banks.
Black-owned banks. I know in Canada, Canada, let's not forget about the US for a second, but in Canada, there's hardly any black-owned anything. There's not a black-owned radio station in the whole entire country. There's no black-owned TV station in the whole entire country. There are not that many black-owned manufacturers when it comes to even clothing. And so when you think about all the things the hurdles that we need to go to get to the next level, we are 30 to 40 years behind the United States of America when it comes to just having those things that you have. Forget about equality. It's just a matter of that we just don't have it here. And there's not going to be a time anytime soon when we do have it, because people believe it's not needed. And that's the biggest problem that we have. We've been brainwashed into think that we don't need some things that we used to have in abundance. And we've decided to let it go the way of the dodo bird because we think we don't need it. And all of a sudden later on, we're like, hey, how come we can't get that? I wish I could get that, and whatever. No, it's gone. It's gone. Self-publishing is great, but guess what? Once that book is out of print, what happens to it? You're not making money in perpetuity anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't think about generational wealth anymore like we used to. We don't think about leaving anything or a legacy for our children. Are we dying and being put in a hole, or are we dying and leaving bills? Are we dying and leaving generational wealth? GoFundMe's should be about doing something new. Shouldn't be about trying to get somebody put in the ground or cremated. I'll take my seat.
I was just thinking in regards to the failures of integration. I think a lot of it stems from the fact that, as you've already stated, it's one-sided. And it's one-sided in the sense that the majority population weren't flooding our businesses with participation. We were sold the idea that it's an honor and a privilege for us to flood their businesses for participation. And so we basically divested from ourselves and went whole hog into buying from the majority community and thinking of it as a privilege, not realizing that we're robbing ourselves. I think it would have worked far better if we had a balance, but I don't think that balance existed. And that's the reason why we have movements and the majority culture has institutions. When you look at a movement is a thing that is alive, true, but as has been stated, a movement is something that has to have a head, a leader, which is why all they have to do to stop the movement, kill the leader, cut off the head of the leader. But on the other hand, if you have an institution that you've built, you can kill the leaders all day, every day. They're just going to plug another one right there in this place tomorrow. And I think that's the difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. If we were thinking long-term, we would be thinking in terms of how can we build something that's an institution, something that will stand the test of time, something that will set us up for a legacy type of an impact, as opposed to a momentary type of an impact. So I just think that one of the failures of integration is that, again, we bought into being a part of someone else's, but they didn't buy into being a part of ours.
Again, I'm sorry if I had some technical difficulties over here, because whenever we start speaking some heavy truths, it seems like my internet want to go to the left on me all the time. So
cutting you off.
Some of Juice Man's knowledge that he was dropping down, but I understand what it is. When you got some brothers together, the devil's like upset because he's like, yo, wait a minute, y'all, you can't be doing this. But everything that VU just said, I would wholeheartedly agree upon, right? We always talk about we're a movement. Yeah, but okay, but in order to have a destination, we got to have a leader, right? Now, this is what I was thinking as I was trying to get my internet back up on. This is how the civil rights movement could have been a success. It's like the Revolutionary War. When they was planning the Revolutionary War, they didn't broadcast it and have all these marches and all these little get-togethers. They send out decrypted messages to all the leaders. We're gonna meet in the cloak of darkness this day, this hour, and we're gonna strategize and plan how we're gonna really take a takeover. Because think about it, in the civil rights movement, you only think about Dr. King, Malcolm X, but let's not forget people like Medgar Evers, Sam Cooke, right?
James Brown,
Sammy Davis Jr.,
Muhammad Ali,
right? Now with all of those Jim Brown, if you get all of these leaders together and they strategize instead of trying on their own agenda, right? They get together and strategize. This is how we're going to do this. I am confident that we will build a nation greater than the United States of America, because now you have to deal with us as an equal, right? And think, and this is about knowing your history, right? Medgar Evers made some very serious changes down in Mississippi. He was on the precedent, the predecessors of making those changes, right? He gets assassinated at his home, at his front door. Sam Cooke, he's going to change the entire entertainment industry. All of a sudden, he's killed by this woman at a hotel, which that's still kind of sketchy. We know what they did to Muhammad Ali. We know what they did to Malcolm X. We know what they did to Malcolm X, right? Every leader that came after them saw what they did, and they shied away from the major issues. Jesse, Thurgood, he sat on the highest court of the land. I don't really think he put some serious effort in some of the issues. And he sat on the highest court of the land, and he's still a great man. But the minute that you start showing, okay, if you plan against us, or you come out against us, we're going to just kill you. Right now, you got to make a life decision. Do I take care of my family, or do I die for my people? To me, you die for your family, you die for your people. Because at the end of the day, that's what we all are, right? We're the only group of people who address people differently, right? When we see us, it's always, what's up, family? What's up, brother? Hey, sis, how you doing? Right? Affirmations. Hey, beautiful, how you doing? Young man, you're doing your thing. You looking good. Because we always got to give those positive affirmations, because we know we're not getting from no place else. So we would have strategized in the cloak of darkness, like they did the Revolutionary War. Doc, you'd have asked that question, it'd have been a totally different answer. And I even go one step further, and I'm gonna take my seat. If that would have happened, and the outcome would have been different, of course, white people would not know what to do with themselves. Because now, what Juice was saying earlier about getting into a European ideology of living, and what is what is success and what is not does not matter, because that influence that happened during the Revolutionary War is still predicated today in 2023. The ideologies, the power structures, the money grabs, it's all inherited from that moment in history. That's why knowing your history is knowing your future. I'm gonna take my seat.
I was thinking about, much has been said. Who was it? Now the late Rodney King said, "Why can't we all just get along?" Remember that? I think there's a scattered nature to Black people, and we major over minors. We major over the differences as opposed to the things that we have in common. And I think I think it needs to be said. There's a difference between an ally and a friend, right? Uh, a friend is a person that's attached to another person by feelings or affection or some personal regard. But an ally, that's a person or a group or a nation that is associated with another or others for some common cause or purpose. So if we got over ourselves, surely there is a core group of values, a core group of things that we can agree on as Black people and as Black men, that if we focus on that and unite and strive to make things better in that regard, we can make a whole lot of progress. And a lot of times, again, like I said, we major over minors. We talk about, I disagree with what this guy says. So there's no way I can partner with him or her on anything. And I think we shoot ourselves in the foot that way. We're quick to call people hypocrites, right? And we totally throw away the ability to connect with them and strive for a common goal that will be a benefit to us both. And again, we call people hypocrites. I like to think of it this way. We go to work every day with a bunch of hypocrites, but I don't see you quit your job.
That part.
Anyone want to add?
That's a drop the mic moment right there. That's a drop the mic, because he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. We work with hypocrites all day long, and we get the backlash of their hypocrisy. It falls on us, and we the one lose our jobs. So, VU again, that's a drop the mic moment, my brother.
I just want to say, going back to the question, I mean, basically, I think Black people on the whole, we're too forgiving. We've got short-term memory. So if you look back in history, what did they say? Columbus discovered America, and there were people there already, Black people. What did they do? They killed them all up, and then America grew and grew and grew, and then you had the civil rights movement, and even Martin Luther King did say, "I think I've integrated you into a burning house." I'm sure it's something around similar to that quote. And I think he realized after, because what you got to realize is when the people went to colonize all these different places, every country they went to, there was Black people. So we are not the minority. So why are they going to give you equality when they know that it could never be? You're not equal because there's loads of us and there's a few of them. But the illusion is they control the media and they control your mind. That's why in slavery, you was not allowed to read. You was not allowed to unify. The kryptonite two things are education and unity. And then fast forward to the civil rights movement, you had all these people what were infiltrating the movements to bring them down. They keep Black people poor so that you're always going to turn against your brother for financial gain. So then it, collapses the movement. Then another thing, what we've got is we integrate to think, yeah, we're going to be equal. We're going to be equal. They have no intentions of you being equal or being in a good position. or a good space, because it would not work in their. They have got an agenda. You know, it's just like what we're talking about before with the Don Lemon. So we'll let you get up to the top and then they will snatch it to let you know. It's just like slavery. It's just repeating. Everything's repeating. The psychological behaviors are exactly the same as they were 200 years ago. You know, the NFL or the NBA players, you know, all black people have to do is say, I'm not doing anything. And the world will stop. And but everyone's got to have the same mindset for that to work. And it's just like with the world, the elite is the 1% who control everything. People go to work. If everyone said tomorrow, I'm not going to work until I get this, what are they going to do? There's nothing that they could do. But it's like the Wizard of Oz. The people that need to pull the curtain back and say, there's a little white man pulling the strings behind there, you know? So this is it. And it's hard to roll out change because, you know, you've got black people that have been poor, they've never had it. So what they're going to do? Oh, yeah, you can have this Benz. There's all these devilish temptations around the corner to let you sell out, to be up there. That toy, even like what Kanye West is saying, you know, you sell out, yeah, I'm a billionaire, but, you know, like all these black billionaires, what's going to happen to their legacy? What's going to happen to their money? They're going to vanish and they're just going to be another black person. You know, unfortunately, it's going to take many years for people to wake up, you know. And another thing, unfortunately, what I'm seeing all over the social media is white people are now, there's no middle class. So what's happening now? You've got the very rich white people and poor white people. And the middle class has fell into the poor people section. And those middle class people thinking, you know, I don't want to be poor. So they are the ones who are challenging. If you're looking at the TikToks, what they want to ban and all these things, it's all happening. And well, like I say, I just got my popcorn and I'm watching because I trust in God 100%. And like I said, God has put in us the spark. So it's gonna turn one day, and everyone's gonna wake up and realize, like iRobot, and go, oh, what's going on here? We can make that change. I mean, if you take the positive from the civil rights movement is when they boycotted things for a year, it collapsed. You know, people boycott things for 1 week and think that's going to change. It's not going to change these people. These people have got control over everything: the media, your education, the church, everything you can think of. They've covered every base. They're playing chess and you're not even playing checkers. You're playing dice. You know, so
They're
black people.
I was going to say, Clive, they're playing Go. You're playing checkers.
Well, this is it, and it's like, you know, it's very difficult. I mean, like here in the UK, we do a lot of world history, whereas in America, I've been to America a few times. I've got family there in New York, and I've been there. But in America, they call things World Series and world. Their mentality is, this is America, this is the world. But there's a lot of things out there outside. Like, for example, Africa, biggest continent, 50-odd countries. That's where all the gold, the oil, everything comes out of there. You see those Arabs with all they're trillionaires, but they don't put them on. They don't let you know about Africa. It's all when you see things in the media, it's all the bad areas, the poor areas, so that you don't look over there. But that's where they're getting their wealth from, the gold, the diamonds. But like I said, people don't read. There's a saying, if you want to hide something, you put it in books, because people don't read, especially black people. And like I said, that's what people need to start doing, reading and studying things what matter, not the soaps what aren't going to teach you anything, or the Kardashians, or whichever celebrity changed their hairstyle. That is not going to help black people. They need to understand how money works, how unity works, so that they can be, what's that guy's name? Claude Anderson.
Dr.
Yeah,
Claude Anderson.
Powernomics. These are the things that they need to understand for them to be able to compete in the real world, which is finance and understanding what we need to own. Because if you haven't got ownership, you can't compete. You know, it's just crazy.
I want to jump in here. I had asked a little bit earlier on if you thought the civil rights movement was a success. I really want to hear what was the Black Lives Matter movement a success?
No,
Hell no.
no,
Hell
no.
no.
let me jump into this first. If you don't love yourself and you don't love your brother, or at least respect your brother and respect your sister, how are Black lives going to matter if you're funded by your oppressor? That was the major fallacy of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all these other knucklehead groups, is that they're funded by the oppressor. They're funded by the boys from Davos, Switzerland. They've got them all dancing on the little strings. And where Black Lives Matter could have meant something, always be suspicious of something that's black that has white support. When I see liberals having Black Lives Matter on their front lawns as a sticker or as a yard sign, and then anybody black that comes around their location, they call the cops on, do Black lives really matter? When you have the leadership of Black Lives Matter enriching themselves and doing nothing for the people that they claim to represent, do Black Lives Matter? That was just like Antifa. It was a name applied to socialism, Marxism, communism. It just wormed its way into our neighborhoods and into our consciousness. And then when it no longer suited the needs of the oppressor, it was jumped on, and it was destroyed. We have to understand, we are sitting right here, Black Mount Rushmore. We are the first generation of blacks who have come through the integration process successfully. I mean, stop to think about it. Success is not being with white people. Success is what white people have. In getting what they have. If we have the same economic mindset as white people do, and know how to spend our money appropriately and build ourselves up like the Chinese. I'll never forget what Tony Brown said. He said, you could go into any major city and find a Chinatown. You can find an Indian town, as in the Hindus. You can find a Korean town, but you cannot find a Negro town. Why? Because America invented Negroes. Africa is still Africa. Then why have we changed into Negroes? No, I am an African American because my roots are here, but they're also in the motherland. And the problem that we're seeing now is that you've got Black Lives Matter hates the morality of Africa, because Africa is anti-transvestite, anti-homosexual, anti-pro-choice. In short, the whole of Africa is lifting a great big black fist against the liberal agenda. And what Black Lives Matter and other groups are trying to do is figure out a way to destroy Africa. And they can't do it because there's 54 nations over there that have they have mineral wealth that hasn't even been discovered yet. There's enough resources, and this was predicted by Dick Gregory back in the 70s, that there are enough resources under the ground in Africa to last another 5,000 years. And most of them have not been discovered yet. So when you have China and all these other countries moving into Africa, and black folk are being trained to stay away from Africa, where is the problem? It's in our thought process. And and Black Lives Matter has not been conducive to black thought. And I'll take my seat.
Well, the general just hit all the points, so there's nothing else to say about that one.
Well, we each have a mic drop tonight, Dr. Vibe. Are we going to put that on the mountaintop? Now, at this point in time, let me fess up here. Let me fess up here. I grew up in a black environment. My parents moved me during my school years from an all-black environment to a mostly white environment. Not because of integration, but to get away from the guard and the 50 caliber machine guns down in Cleveland during riot season. They did like other parents. They took a stand. They said, we're not going to stay in this, and we're going to move. We got the economics. We're going to move. We're going to give our kids a better shot at life. Not because of where we moved to, but what we were moving from, which was all that stress and stuff back during the quote unquote summer of love, you know. And so, like Tony Brown said, if you hang out around white people long enough, you realize they got more hang-ups than we do. And so if you understand their hang-ups and get them to admit they have hang-ups, that's half the battle right there. I mean, stop and think about it. You know, white folks have kids that drop out of school. White kids, white people have unwed mothers. They just call them something different. They call it, you know, now white folk have got they've got a fentanyl problem because a generation ago they didn't do nothing about the crack problem in the hood. See, everything's cyclical. Like Malcolm said, the chickens have come home to roost and they don't know how to handle it. But like I said, if you've been raised around them, if you understand them, if you know that they got hang-ups, and like I said, I'll go a step further. You know, I married white at one point in time. It wasn't because a gun was put to my back. It's just in the environment that I was in. It just happened that way. You like Henri said, you can't pick who you fall in love with and who you have kids with. I got 3 beautiful mixed kids. Adulthood, they're in adulthood now. I ain't heard none of them getting locked up, at least lately. But that's just the way it is. You know, I was married 10 years the first time white, still married more than 30 years black. I have more problems with folk that are so-called Christians that get mad because I married again. And I'm looked upon as being a second-class citizen, even among black folks in the black church who don't read the book. Now, I'm saying all this to say this. We have to take the effort to make sure we don't lose ourselves. Like I said, love my kids to death. But we have to make an effort not to lose ourselves by getting color struck, because we tend to narrow our focus. If you talk to Hispanics, you'll realize very quickly they're color struck. Hondurans and Mexicans do not get along, but haven't gotten along for generations. Have you heard that taught in the schools? No. The only race that can't get along with itself is us. But if you look at the Chinese, the Orientals, the Chinese hate the Japanese, hate the Koreans, but we don't hear about that. Why? Because that's the way the media frames the narrative. Part of the reason why there's such a disappointment with integration is not color, it's spirit. There's a spiritual thing in there. You can't say that by me not being a Muslim, I'm not worth talking to. Or if I'm a Christian, you can't talk to me because of your belief structure. We have to get, and it may never happen, at least in our lifetimes, but the reality is that we have overcome. We have it just by us six sitting here, we've overcome a lot. And we're not victims, we're victors, we're overcomers. And there's an African proverb that applies to this. Give advice. If folk won't take it, let adversity teach them. There are success stories out there. We just have to stop taking the quote unquote media handout and the media narrative through social media and TikTok. And the funny thing about TikTok is that in China does not show on TikTok what we show on TikTok, what they show us doing on TikTok. You go to China and the stuff that they show here, you try to show on TikTok over in China where they originated TikTok, they will lock you up if they won't flat out shoot you, because they stress education, they stress commerce, they stress getting ahead. What are they showing us? Where white folks mess up, not us, where they mess up is they assume that all these other countries of color around the world love them. And they look at VU knows this better than any of us. Look at Japanese anime. Who do they make fun the most of in anime? It ain't us. It's white folks. Who are the Chinese making fun of? White folks. Who are the Koreans making fun of? White folks. And they don't understand that all these other groups that they've been giving a leg up to instead of reaching out and helping us have been making fun of them all the way along the line. The Indians, the Hindus, all of them. And white folks have been too blinded by their prejudice towards us, thinking that we're inferior stock, when the reality is they're afraid of us. 6 black brothers getting together talking about stuff like this, we are considered revolutionaries. We are considered the threat because we can think, pray, read, and unify. And like VU had said, there's a difference between a friend and an ally. But when the chips are down, I would rather have an ally than a friend, because I know an ally will fight with me and for me. Where friends can tend to be a little bit flaky, allies don't run.
You gotta stand in with your 10 toes down in the ground. You gotta stand in it. You gotta stand in it. I think one of the things that to the original question about Black Lives Matter, first of all, you didn't know your history, didn't have a really secure platform. Everything she was doing was based upon emotions. It was emotional reaction to what was happening to us yet again. So instead of you taking the moment and strategizing, coming up and bringing the all the generations together, you went out and you want to make a banner, Black Lives Matter. Well, hell, my life matters since the day I was born 60 years ago. I don't need you to tell me that. I don't need you to tell me what I deal with every day as a black man. I've been walking this area since I was understanding how to put on long pants. So what you did nothing, and then the fact that it came from other. It came from other. It didn't come from. It was almost like watching how the NAACP was created back in the abolitionist days, right?
Right.
So why I'm going to sit here and really support what you're doing, what you're saying, when it's not really about us, it's about interest.
Hey, Henri, and a lot of it was performative, don't you think?
Yes.
It's based. Yeah.
Yes. And again, excuse me, as a person whose background is in
Civil rights.
and just putting the image out there, it never set well with me, right? They was having Black Lives Matters rallies here in the Bay Area, right? And they're like, "Well, Henri, you want to go?" Like, no, I'm not going. I'm not marching for what? Y'all don't want to really. Y'all don't really want to do what's necessary to be done. Y'all not gonna fight. You're gonna sit there. You're gonna holler. You're gonna scream. You're gonna chant. You're gonna do all these other things, and then at the end of the day, you're gonna go home. Y'all go open a bottle of wine and talk about what happened. I ain't got no time for that. If we're not making true changes, then why are you wasting my time? Why am I wasting your time if I'm not willing to put out whatever's need to be to make real change? And today, like I said, Black Lives Matter did nothing. And then when it came out that the president or the CEO, whatever her title was embezzling millions and millions of dollars from the movement. Yeah, okay. Miss me with that. You go ahead, you don't bought your mama a house, you don't bought your lover a house, and you taking all these fancy. Yeah, all right, miss me with that. I wish I might. One of the things, again, the mindset that we have to change is that I am not looking at you to screw me. I'm not looking at you to hurt me, but I am looking at you to uplift me and give me some of the things I may not have, like we have here, right? We got 6 different articulations going on here. But one thing about all the different articulations is they come from a base of intelligence, knowledge, and experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So where I may be a little bit rough around the edges, my brother Clive can smooth it out with that English tone of his, right? You jump up to Dr. Vibe and Juice, they could put that Caribbean twist on there, whatever, right? V, you gonna put that strong analytical, like, here it is right here. Are you ready for it type of thing? In general, you can go ahead and put the spiritual top of it, and there go your ally cake. There you go. There you go your ally gumbo right there. Digest it, and let it warm your soul, baby. That's what we do.
Now,
I buy an ally cake. I buy one, maybe 2.
I was just gonna piggyback on what Henri was saying. The difference between Black Lives Matter and Henri knows this, the Panthers, the Black Panthers in California. Black Lives Matter is still alive. Panthers were shot dead. Mm-hmm. You know why they were shot dead? Because they taught do for self. And once you challenge the money, you're going to have problems. Mm-hmm. Because they had daycare centers set up, they had feeding programs set up, they had it all going on. And the brothers had them shotguns and rifles to protect the neighborhood, to protect the sisters. Same thing happened in Chicago with the gangbangers in Chicago. The original vice lords. Same thing happened in Chicago. They challenged Mayor Daley's regime. How? Do for self, our own lunch programs, school programs, taking care of our own, protecting our women, protecting our children, and the brothers were armed doing that. And as soon as they threatened the money, what happened? They started locking them up, shooting them, setting them up. That's why Black Lives Matter was just a shell of what it could have been, a shell of what it could have been, because they had no skin in the game. Like you said, Henri, they went back to the $1 million mansions, were drinking their wine. They were clapping each other on the back and taking their orders to go back out and do it again. The real black leadership has got something invested. Each one of us has something invested as leaders, and each one of us has lost something as a leader, standing up against the status quo. Juice Man, I was thinking about something that you said last month about wanting peace with your family, the whole family. And that's something, sometimes we sacrifice that because we're leaders. It's like, hey, I wish, when I got remarried, I told my wife years ago, I said, I'm coming to you with the best possible scenario you can imagine. I said, half of my family is dead, and the other half of my family ain't speaking to me because of my faith in Christ. And she loved it. so her family adopted me. So that's true Black community. When you can come into somebody else's family and be adopted, just like the Allies. The Allies are more than just a discussion group. We're family.
Mm-hmm.
We're family. If I can be there, I'll be there. If I can encourage, I'll encourage.
Mm-hmm.
If I got $1 that you need $1, hey, I'll figure out some way to get it to you. But we're not friends. We're past friendship. We're all family. If something happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. We're the Black untouchables. If you want to stop and think about that, you can't buy us off and you can't kill us off. And Dr. Vibe is Elliot Ness. I'm Rico because I'm driving the car.
I want to be one of the guys that stands on the running board with the Tommy gun.
There you go. That's Rossi.
There you go.
That's Rossi. He's the buck. And I remember in the original pilot, they had Keenan Wynn that had a little shady background, but he built the bust up wagon. It rolled through like a tank and just smashed the doors of the brewery so the Untouchables could get in. Like that's who we are. We the Black, just like Lakeside. We're G men. We're the A men. We're the Allies men. We don't have to flash no badge. We don't need no stinking badges.
There you go. We don't need no stinking badges.
I keep my badge at the foot. I keep my badge at the foot of my shoe.
Well.
Juice man, you're not saying much. You're just shaking your head.
I'm going to jump on here for a second, and that is this, and that is there's something that I saw, and it happens in Canada a lot, and that is the whole aspect of immigration. As you know, in the United States of America, it's a melting pot. You may laugh, but it's a melting pot. Canada is a mosaic, and we take pride in that mosaic, that you're allowed to keep what you bring from your country to Canada. When you come into Canada, you are a landed immigrant. You are not a legal alien. And the word alien just sounds foreign. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we're different. But there's something that happens a lot that I've noticed through history is Black people are really good when it comes to certain things. We're really good at giving. And we give everything from ourselves. Back in the day, Black women were wet nurses. For those who don't understand what wet nurses are, they're the ones who fed the babies.
Mm-hmm.
A woman couldn't produce milk, we were the ones who did it. When it comes to organ transplants, they look for our organs better than anybody else's. But they find ways to disqualify us in other areas. When it comes to stuff such as stem cell research, they find ways to disqualify Black people. That is changing. When it came to giving blood, they would find a way to disqualify us. That again is changing. When it comes to learning our history, they don't want us to know it because our history, if told in abundance, would make people question everything they know about themselves. And that is the biggest reason why enslaved Africans have always been, and I'm going to repeat this word over and over. I'm going to use it. It's called the word denied. We have been denied a lot of things. However, in a court of law, they always say you can go for what you're entitled to. However, when it comes to us getting anything, they keep denying that we are entitled to anything. We are told that we cannot wear our hair naturally. We don't have banks because we've been denied the ability to actually find any form of wealth. Whenever we try to do something from, let's say, continental Africa or from the Caribbean, we're told that it has no value. Other nationalities, other ethnicities, other religions are allowed to put forth their things and make money from them. This was brought to my attention a little while ago, and I don't know if you gentlemen are aware of it. Yes, we built the pyramids. Yes, people who looked at us did some of the wonders of the world. However, if you go to Egypt and you see the pyramids, you'll see the pyramids on this side that are a great feat in Black achievement, Black African achievement. We built that stuff. However, they plunder and pillage what is, in essence, a sacred burial site, trying to find mummies. They will take the mummies, the gold and everything, and they will throw them all over the world. They did that with another lady from the Hottentot tribe, if you know what I'm talking about. If you turn 180 degrees away from the pyramids, you will see McDonald's, KFC, Popeyes, and all these other buildings right behind what in essence is a burial ground. Would you find the same thing in Mecca? Would you find a KFC or a McDonald's right beside their holy temple of Mecca or anywhere near Mecca? So then why are Black people disrespected this way? We constantly are disrespected, and we don't even know it. We don't even see it. We see, hey, yeah, we built the pyramids, but they're still making money from taking King Tut's artifacts and bringing them all around the world. They have pieces of the noses of artifacts all over the world. They took the bones of a Black woman from the Hottentot tribe and brought them all over the world. And this is acceptable. They're just changing some of the imagery that we see, but they've already made their billions on it. They've already done it. Aunt Jemima, that whole picture, Uncle Ben's rice. They say they're going to be changing these pictures, but they've made millions off of us. And what do? We still go out and buy it. We still go out and want to aspire to have the certain things as other nationalities do. We don't have food that we can cook that is ready in 15 to 20 minutes. Other nationalities have that. And guess what? We don't even buy into, in great numbers, those businesses that the other nationalities need. Black hair is not owned by Black people. Black people don't even want black hair, which is very sad. Where are the textile companies that we can get kente cloth from to dress like we're supposed to wear things on our body like we're supposed to? Where are those places?
Pittsburgh.
Huh? Where are the bookstores that are supposed to feed us knowledge? When in essence, in the country that I live in, there's only 3 black bookstores owned in Canada by Black people.
I got a question for you, Juice.
Go ahead.
Do you patronize those 3 Black bookstores?
All the time.
Then you're doing your job in keeping hope alive.
I understand that, but here's the problem though, and Dr. Vi will attest to it. There are so many people within our Black culture that when it comes to doing something, if you were to ask the majority of Black people to do probably one of the simplest things in the world, they couldn't do it. For 30 days or even 40 days, let's say Lent, give up buying from white people and only buy from Black people for Lent. Or for 30 days for Black History Month, for 28 days of Black History Month or 29 days of Black History Month, just buy Black. Would you be able to totally buy Black every single day? No, because most of us don't know where we can find a Black-owned gas station. They wouldn't know where to find a Black-owned car dealership or a book. Or if you run out of underwear, buy underwear from a Black-owned manufacturer. Or shoes that are made by Black people. Simple things, not even a bra. And all these things that I'm mentioning to you are things that people would have to go to mail order, catalog for, wait a whole month for, 4 to 6 weeks for shipping, get them from over here, blah, blah, because certain industries we don't own. And if you think about it, look at the name on your brief that all of us Black men are wearing. If it's not made by Black people, we're basically putting other man's stuff on our nuts. Our most sacred prized possession, we let the other man take care of that. So if we're willing to do that with our balls, they've had us buy the balls for over 400 years, and they're still doing it. You may not think of that as being something that is important, but think how small in one aspect our history is. And think of how vast the opportunities we have for change are. So we sit here and we're saying, hey, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have this, and we don't have that. But we continually, every single day, bypass the things that we need for our day-to-day living because it's available from the other men. And until we stop doing those things, Black lives don't even matter to us.
Hey, Juice.
Yes.
Now, like, let me flip this real quick for you, brother.
Okay.
If you're doing what you're supposed to do, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and we're encouraging brothers to step up or sisters to step up to do what they're supposed to do, and they refuse to step up, are we wrong or are they wrong?
We need to set up we need to set up boundaries. That's the number one thing.
No. Well, here's what
for a second.
You're doing what you can do.
We can do what we want to do ad nauseum. We can do what we want to do every single day. I mean, I buy Black all the time. Whenever I can, I buy Black.
Good.
Right? However, even though I may be making a little ripple in the ocean, I need more people like me. I need more like-minded people to jump on the bandwagon with that. And because it's not seen as something that needs to be done or a value that needs to be done right now, and that's the biggest thing. People don't see the value in buying Black. People don't see the need for doing it right now. Then it's going to be one of those things that, maybe a small group of people may do it, right? One of the reasons why black movies were not made in Hollywood for a long time is because they didn't see the need for it, because we would go and watch something white. And we do it all the time.
Well, I think there's a lot to address with this. So I'm gonna flip it this way. I believe that some black people don't see the value of ownership. I believe that we could be wearing things right now, as you so eloquently put it, even around our nuts, that has actually been designed by black people because they don't have the confidence of having ownership. They just want to be part of the process because they have never looked at themselves as being more than an helpmate or a helper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Indeed.
So where we struggle is an image problem. See, we forget about us being kings and queens and leaders of industry because, one, if you're not taught it, you don't know it. Two, if you can't see it, you can't believe it or achieve it. And three, more importantly, once you do build it, because we still have that need to be included and have an inclusionary mindset. If the Eurocentric powers come over and make an offer that's nice, we're going to take that money.
No doubt.
Point taken is Carol's daughters, the hair care product line. She developed it in her kitchen, in her brownstone in Brooklyn. People was coming all over New York and buying it. Then she wound up putting it, and it came one of Oprah's favorite things, and all of a sudden it blew up. What did she wind up doing at the end? She sold it to L'Oreal. So a lot of things, again, Juice, and I agree with you. I think our dollar is powerful. That's why they're always after our dollar, and they're always after our resources, because our resources is powerful. But if we don't see ourselves as leaders of industry, owners of businesses and stores and record labels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, this thing that all the black leaders that we had who were leaders of industry then sold. Robert Johnson, he gave us a platform for our narrative and then sold it to Viacom. Right? So again,
Motown Records. As much as I love Berry Gordy to death, as much as we hear that story about how he got $800 which was basically a couple of weeks ago, was the anniversary of it. He don't own it.
Right.
He hasn't owned it in years.
He sold it. Again, it's like some of the lessons that we have internalized, to your point earlier, is truly based on a Eurocentric mentality. See, we are consumers. We just want to consume and buy, and that's what we do, right? They buy and then take control of a businesses to build a certain generational wealth, right? We, to the point of we build culture with. So then once we built it, and now you start seeing the legitimacy of the culture that was built. Now you want to buy it. You want to profit. You want to profit off of it, right? We don't have that same type of longevity. We're not playing a long game. We playing the short and intermediate game because we just want to get ours out fast. Because again, since we don't have no value, or since we're being seen as we don't have any value, let me get all I can get before you see I have no more value to you. We're still looking at still dealing from an inclusionary mindset. And that's the reason why we don't have the black businesses. Listen, I grew up in South Philly. Y'all know Philly special. You know, that's what it is, right? When we moved on our block, we was the third black family moved on our block. Now, before that, it was an entire Italian neighborhood. And as they start to migrate out of the city into suburbia, and black families were coming in, middle class was coming in, you had black everything. Black everything. I can go home now. And the first time I went home, and they called the corner. We used to call it corner store that was owned by a black man. They called it a bodega. I'm like, where's the bodega? Because I don't know where a bodega is at. They said the corner store. I said, what did y'all call it? They call it a bodega. Well, that's not what I called it when I grew up here. Because after a while, and this is a very key point too, those businesses are lost because the generation that follows don't see the value in the business. So they don't take it over. Or if I have a house, if I have to pass down my home to my son or to my grandson, they don't see the value in owning property. They'll sell it. Because before you don't see, before I no longer have any more value to you, then I need to get all I can get. We still suffer from a crab in the barrel mentality as well. And once we can rid ourselves of that crab in the barrel mentality and see our value and see ownership, everything that you just addressed, Juice, would change. But we don't see it. And then you ain't taught in the schools. And if your mother and father never seen it or never experienced it, how can they teach you?
Hey, Henri, and to your earlier point, if I remember right, when Bob Johnson sold BET, he sold it to become one of many other inclusionary owners of a sports stadium that he does not own outright. So that makes your point right there.
Exactly. See, go
ahead, Henri. Finish up.
And I'll make it real quick.
Go ahead.
What is the one thing in our history in totality that has been proven to be correct? Whenever we pulled our resources and our economical and intellectual properties together, we were unstoppable. Until they build some type of false narrative to destroy our momentum, and then we never pick up the momentum again.
Which goes right back to the opening comments that you were talking about, Brother Majors. This has come full circle because, again, here in the States, those of us who are here in the States know that America says it's a melting pot, but it's a stew pot because every ethnicity puts something into the pot, but they will not necessarily get the recognition for putting something into the pot until everybody wants to taste the concoction and realize that something's missing. And until folk realize that there's something missing without us, and until we realize that, that's why I was telling Juice, man, if we're all doing what we're supposed to be doing, because I've got some young brothers that are doing some work for me right now, and I was impressed with their work. So I'll be calling them back. And I told them, I said, do you realize how long I've been waiting to get a black-owned company to do this kind of work? And I've gone through all these other companies. There are black-owned companies out there that are doing all this stuff, but we don't know about them. But the Lord has a way of sending them our way to test our liberality. See, it's not how many black companies there may be in this one area or this other area or whatever. It's what do we do with the black companies when they come across our doorstep? Do we invest in them? Do we encourage the ownership? I often wonder about your book, Clive. How much encouragement did you have to write that book? Because that's a dangerous topic. And did you have encouragement from other brothers and sisters to write that book, or did you have brothers and sisters trying to dissuade you from telling the truth?
Okay, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. My encouragement came from you guys. You know, it was like Dr. Vide mentioned it years ago that I should write a book, but I didn't really tell people I was writing it. I just wrote it. I let the Spirit take me to where I needed to go. When I released it, I did get a lot of encouragement. You know, there was no backlash from the book. White people brought it, black people brought it, Asian people brought it, everyone brought it. But you know, the only things I've experienced with like people not wanting to hear what I'm saying is when I put like Black history on the social media. People don't want to see it. Black people have told me you can't put that down, or what, you know, they don't want to ruffle no feathers, and I'm not about that. I am totally 100% with God's soldier. So if the Spirit says do it, I'm doing it. I'm there to help the wake up the sheep. I'm not there to, you know, hide things and make things stay the same. When I see something wrong, I'm going to help. Whether it's not about color, the God is about doing the right thing. If you are of God, that's why I say I judge people. It says it in the Bible, judge them by their actions.
That's right.
You know, it's not about, oh yeah, well, I go to church, but there's someone poor person out there and he's dying for some water, but I'm gonna just walk over him. There are people like that, and I see it. And being a taxi driver, I see things, like I see everything now, and I'm blessed because I say God has put me everywhere I need to be to see what I need to see. You know, and like as far as writing books or putting information up, there's nothing I won't touch on because people need to know these things. And it's like when people realize that you can be trusted with being an integral person, that you will always tell the truth and you always give an honest opinion, they will always trust you. You know, I'm not about, if someone says, you know, give me an honest opinion, I'm going to tell them. Not in a horrible way. There's always a way of breaking things down, pull someone to the side. You don't have to embarrass someone, but you will give them the correct feedback so they have a choice and they can change and they can take the negative and turn it into a positive. And that's the way I look at things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no stopping me. I'm a one-man soldier.
I'm gonna ask this to wind it down because this is jumping into a topic we want to go to next month. So I don't want to get too deep into it. So. Okay. Anyone have any last comments before we jump? And we can tell people what the next topic is for next month because we've decided it in the back channel. Any last comments?
I'm going to steal Henri's favorite saying. Next month, y'all better knuckle up and buckle up.
Well, gentlemen, look, thank you. The time just flew by. As usual, but always good to see you all. So I'm going to go one by one where people can get in touch with you. Mike Ramey, how can people reach out to you?
They can reach out to me at the manhood line, this manhood line at yahoo.com. Don't bring your fire. I've already got some there for you. I got a 3-part series on toxic lies against manhood. The first series, the first installment's already been published and posted, and it's a humdinger. Manhood is not toxic. The lies about manhood are toxic, and we as black men need to confront those lies and let folk know that we are standing our ground and we're not going to abandon our manhood for anybody.
All right.
Absolutely.
Next up, I'll go to the future.
Okay, last words. I just want to say thank you guys for always being there, always giving knowledge, wisdom, and brotherly love. And I'm happy to always be here on this. It's like 3:45 a.m. in the UK, so we're on the next day. But yeah, I always, always will be here if I can. But to the listeners out there who would like to connect with me, I always answer questions, and you can reach me by either Googling Clive Henry Amazon, or just go on Instagram, Racism is Real, TikTok, Racism is Real, Facebook, Clive Henry, and Twitter at Clive Henry 1, or hashtag Racism is Real.
Wonderful. Henri Morris.
Yes, as always, brothers, this is like always the best part of my month. To always convene and be with all
Amen.
you.
Amen.
And we've been talking about this for some time now, but we still got to get together now. Since the general had called us the Black Mount Rushmore, we need to go in. We need to
the Black Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah, we need to get together, cement that, do the whole imaging with it, because when we're gone, we need these young black men, these young black women to look up to something.
Yeah,
have something that they can embrace and say, "Oh, wait a minute,
run with the button."
Exactly, exactly. But anybody who would like to reach out to me, you can reach me on Twitter at For the Love of You. That's FORTHELUVOFU. And you can hit me directly. My email address is my name, Morris Henri at gmail.com. Always hit me. I answer any questions you have. Brothers, as always, man, I miss y'all. Love y'all. Can't wait till we can figure out when we're going to be in one place. Whether we got to come to Toronto, Mike, or we got to, everybody, we'll go to the future and meet up in Clive. As long as Clive don't catch a cold again. Get out of
No.
Right.
I will give you when I'm coming this time, Clive. You take all your B12s and your vitamin C shots.
I won't be sick again.
VU.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be around like minds. Always love to be part of the allies. The brotherhood is strong. It can't be denied. To find out more about Victory Unlimited, just go to victoryunlimitedshow.com. But as I always say, brace yourself. It's a dangerous place. It's risky for you to go there. And I always like to advise people, if you see me running, just try to keep up. But yeah, victoryunlimitedshow.com.
And Juice Man will close it out.
My information's like right under my name, but yeah, I do agree with Henri. It's 2023, and I'm available this summer if you guys want to get together. And I got one of these, right? So you just say the date. I got my credit card. I got my Aeroplan points. Let's go. Like I said last show, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. 50-yard line, my brother.
Let go.
Ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure. And just to FYI, people, we've already decided in the back chat what we're going to be chatting about next month. We're going to be talking, what is Black culture? What is Black culture? So that's our conversation topic for next month, and we're going to let them go. Take care. Whoops. I just did something really wild on my screen here, and I don't know what just happened. All right, there we go. And there we go, Victory. There we go, Juice Man, while he watches the draft. There goes Knuckle Up and Buckle Up. And the gentleman in the future, we let go last. So there we go. All right. Dr. Vibe here, as always, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, and hanging out with the band of brothers. Few last things. If you are up to it, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube. If you do it on YouTube, hit YouTube on YouTube, hit subscribe and notification on YouTube. You can also like it on Facebook. Wherever you're watching this, like and subscribe and share it out. If you want to get in touch with me, here's all the different places. Website, thedrvibeshow.com. Email dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Twitter, @drvibeshow. And Instagram, @the Dr. Vibe Show. The THEDRVIBESHOW. All right. As we close out, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace and put it down. If you are a fan, and share it with everybody. The next Dr. Vibe Allies, May 25th, 2023, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be talking about what is Black culture. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. Walk good. And we'll see you next month. But in between, all the time.
Yeah.